Hi, I'm Linda Ritchie.
And I'm Bill Ritchie, and today we're going to demonstrate testing the Mini Halfwood Press number 52.
So let's get started. And let's start with a close-up.
Oh, I like to start with the plate with rubbing it with a dry cotton cloth. It gets off any oxide that's built up. I'm going to be testing the Mini Halfwood Press number 52 using one of these copper plates I call the playing card series. They're all artist trading cards, etched copper, and all being based on the same image. And when I'm done, there will be an addition of 49 copper plates. My ink today is the Charbonnel Black, soft black it's called, and I'm going to use it straight out of the tube. I have a little hot plate here, which will make things go a little easier. Spread the ink around with this rubber squeegee. Sometimes I use a mat board chip. Then I will use some tarlatan for the initial wiping, and this sticky pad will help keep the plate from flying around. And if it seems a little bit too stiff, I'll put it on the hot plate. Just briefly. Don't want to get it too hot. And after the tarlatan wipe, I'll switch to the paper wipe. Telephone book pages make good paper for paper wiping intaglio plate. And finally, the hand wipe. And for this, I need a nice dry heel of my hand, and I'll get that dried off by putting on a little talcum powder. This will bring up the contrast of the plate to its maximum, and yet it'll leave a little fine film of oil for what we call plate tone. I'm almost ready. All I have to do now is clean the edges of the plate and get the press ready. The Mini Halfwood Press comes ready to go out of the box. It comes with a shipping board, comes attached to a shipping board, and I can remove one of the thumb screws here and take out the box that comes. Inside the box is the certificate of authenticity. Also, the blankets is a set of 2 blankets cut for this press. A little book, which is a kind of a birth certificate referring to just exactly what kind of woods that this press is made of. And an owner's manual. Oh, it's about 18 pages long, owner's manual or user's manual. And a postcard and an Allen wrench for tightening the wheel in case it ever came loose. There will also be a DVD that goes in here after we get this video finished. To load the press, first I take out the shipping pads, these 2 little small pieces, and lower the roller all the way down until it touches the bed. And then I raise it back by counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 8 half turns. I should be able to put the blankets under the roller. I also have attached to the side of the press some roller rulers. You can see them here, and they have marking on them so that you want to perhaps refer to those to show how high the roller was. And then I tighten it back the same number of turns because it's important to keep the roller exactly flat. Again, you can use the roller ruler for that reference. Now these presses only weigh 12 pounds, so sometimes it's hard to keep them still while you're turning the press. I recommend putting a sticky pad underneath the press. A sticky pad is that kind of plastic rubber mat that you can find in kitchen supply stores and drug stores and places like that. You just cut out a piece and put it under your press, and it keeps it from walking around while you're trying to print. Before I started, I dampened some pieces of paper. So I'll get that piece of paper after I place the bed on the plate on the bed. This is Arched Cover, one of my favorite papers for printing etchings and other kinds of intaglio prints. I ran it under a faucet for a few minutes, and then I blotted off the extra water, and I put 4 or 5 sheets in this plastic bag for today's demonstration. So it's very soft and pliable. It has to be that way to get the paper to emboss into the plate. Now for the sake of the video, I think I'll turn the press around so that when it comes out, well, this is awkward. So when it comes out, the video can show you the print. And there's the finished proof. Not bad for a first proof. I like to put a number on the back of the print. It's called a moment number. I start with the year, 10, and the month, May, which is 05, and the day, which is 08. And then I like to put the time on it, the moment it was printed, which is 1437. That's the moment number. Better than edition numbers and all that other kind of system. And there's the second proof. Here's the first proof. And that completes our test of number 52 today. Thank you for watching. Here's a way to do a dry point self-portrait. First, I bevel the edges of the copper plate with a power grinder and a finish with a file. Then I polish the plate with steel wool and put a mirror finish on it with a metal polish or even a buffing wheel on a power drill. Then I take my digital snapshot, put that on a computer for a guideline. I needle in the image with my dry point needle, and I make little changes with burnisher. Sometimes I use an electric engraver. Now my plate is ready to ink with a chip of mat board, and I roll the ink out with a brayer. Then I wipe the plate with a page from a telephone book and hand wipe it for a final polish. My paper soaked for an hour. I blot off the surface water, tighten the pressure on my press, put the plate on the bed, the paper on the plate, and run it through, and there's my... Here's how I make a fine line etching using a liquid hard ground. First I bevel the edge of the copper plate, and then I back it with plastic or a spray paint. I scrub the surface with a cleanser and check it in water to see if water sheets across the surface. Then I blow it dry with a dryer or paper towels and apply the liquid ground with a soft brush. When it's dry, I check it for pinholes. I needle in the design using a sharp etching needle. I immerse it in ferric chloride for 5 or 10 minutes and check it with a magnifier. I remove the ground with a solvent, and then I apply the ink with a piece of mat board. Then I wipe with a page from a telephone book, and I finish with a hand wipe, and I'm ready to run it through the press and check my proof. Here's how you can do a soft ground etching. You start with a prepared plate with a bevel and a polished surface. I'm using Charbonnel soft black ground in ball form. The ball melts on the plate when you heat it. You roll it out with a soft brayer. When it's cool, you cover it with paper and tape it down and draw. You press hard. You can check your progress. Here's how it looks from the front. Here's the back. It's ready to etch. I stick on plastic buttons because it's going to be etched upside down in ferric chloride for 20 minutes. You can check the depth of the etch with a magnifier. When it's done, dissolve the ground, strip off the backing, apply etching ink, wipe with tarlatan, paper, and finish with a hand wipe. You print on damp paper, and then you pull your proof. Here's how I do a relief print from a woodcut on my mini Halfwood press. I started with a design I printed out on my laser printer. Then I transferred the laser print to a block using lacquer thinner and run it through my mini Halfwood press. And I start to cut. I use a knife and I cut away from the image at an angle. Then I go back and cut a V shape all around the line areas. And finally I clear out all the open areas with a gouge. I dampen my paper with a spray bottle and put it in a plastic bag. I roll out my ink and I start inking my block. I get the press ready by putting down the chase and a blanket. Then I put my damp paper down into the chase and put my wood block on it face down and roll it through the press. And I lift the block and there's my finished print. Here's the design on my computer. I print it on Avery label paper. I tear off the labels and throw them away, and I print on the glossy side that's left using my laser printer set on heavy. I cut out the design I want. Now I've got a copper plate that I scrub with steel wool, and then I polish it, clean it with Comet and water. When it's dry, I put the art face down and run it through a laminator. I do that about 6 times to really get it hot. When it's cooled off, I can peel off the backing, and it's ready to touch up if I need to with rosin alcohol. Coat the back with contact paper, tape it face down with a little space under it in my tray, and put in the ferric chloride. Good idea to tap away the bubbles. Takes about 15 minutes for the first bite. I rinse it off with water and really clean. Then when it's dry, I like to put on an Aquatet. I use an Aquatet Ox. Just get the fine particles. It only takes about 5 or 6 seconds. Aquatet has to be fused on with a hot plate. Get it smoking hot. Cool it off and back into the bath. It's all done. Clean it off with lacquer thinner. Be careful, don't breathe those fumes. When it's all clean, it's ready to take your first trial proof.